Hey all, Jason Levon here, priest at St. Luke's Episcopal Church in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. At my last edition of Pause and Pray, I confess to all of you that I don't handle the pauses in life all that well, and how I'm struggling with the deep pause that this COVID-19 pandemic is bringing to all of us. Today I have another confession for you, and that is that oftentimes I find myself missing what's really important in life, missing the main things, the things that should matter. It's one of the many reasons why I'm so grateful for the gift my beloved partner Christy is in my life, because she has a way through her life and love of reminding me what's really important. And last evening was a case in point. After a day of working, I was trying to focus on a few last things I wanted to get done, but really couldn't focus on them because I was frustrated and angry that I wasn't able to do church and be church the way I was used to doing church and being church. Namely, gathering here and all the wonderful work that's being done here at St. Luke's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in this corner of God's vineyard. I was agitated by that visibly, and Christy must have sensed that. But while I sat last night stewing in my frustration, Christy responded quite differently. She busied herself filling the rectory with the aroma of love, because she was making homemade chicken soup and spätzle for a few neighbors of ours, a couple, two who were elderly, and one who was a young woman whose husband was recently deployed to the Middle East, and she finds herself with a young child also diagnosed with the flu. So while I sat stewing in frustration, she was busy trying to love her neighbors. In her wisdom, she must have sensed that I needed what I couldn't find for myself, so she invited me to go along with her to drop these meals off on the doorsteps of these neighbors. I'm grateful that I listened to her, because it was in going with her that I realized what was really important in life. Not what we're not able to do here these days, but what we are able to do out there for our neighbors. If we would have gathered in this sacred space today to celebrate the Eucharist, we would have heard the following gospel from Mark. One of the scribes came near and heard them disputing with one another, and seeing that he answered them well, he asked him, "Which commandment is the first of all?" Jesus answered, "The first is this. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. The second is this. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these." Then the scribe said to him, "You are right, teacher. You have truly said that he is one, and besides him there is no other. And to love him with all the heart, and with all the understanding, and with all the strength, and to love one's neighbor as oneself, this is much more important than all whole burnt offerings and sacrifices." When Jesus saw that he answered wisely, he said to him, "You are not far from the kingdom of God." After that, no one dared to ask him any question. What beautiful, inviting, and challenging words for us during these times. A reminder to us that the very reason we gather in holy places like this church is to give thanks to God for the gift of God's love, a love that God desires to ingrain in each and every one of our lives. And in ingraining that love in our lives, not doing so with the hope that we hold on to it, but with the very hope that when we leave these places of worship, we let go of that love for others. We be love in the world. We love our neighbors. And that has all invited me to pause and to pray in gratitude for the recent experiences I've had of neighbors who have enfleshed that love of God for me. I think of one of the elderly women that we dropped soup off for last night. We left the soup on her doorstep, and she left for us a package of shortbread cookies because she knows how much our grandchildren love them. Or I think of strangers when I'm out for a walk with my dog, who instead of saying hi and how are you and have a good day, are saying things like, "Be well, stay healthy, we'll get through this." Or I even think of a young couple who lives across the street from us with a little 3-year-old girl. And a few days ago, we were checking in on them at some distance, and their daughter was sending love to us by blowing bubbles that could travel the distance we weren't able to bridge physically. Each bubble carrying within it the playfulness of God's love for each and every one of us. And I think of people, countless people, who are dropping meals off on doorsteps for the homebound and those who are in quarantine, or writing letters, or making phone calls just to check in on each other. A gift for me to pause and pray today on how I've experienced God's love through my neighbors and how I might be called to be love for them. And I invite you to pause and pray about the same. God's peace and blessings to you all.